left you in the dust, walked away without a second glance, like you were nothing, like you never mattered. They laughed when you stumbled, whispered when you fell, celebrated when you broke. They spoke your failures louder than your efforts, turned their backs as if you were already forgotten. They buried you under their doubts, their rejection, their silence. But what they didn't realize, what they never saw coming, is that the dirt they threw on you didn't suffocate you. It became the foundation you stand on now. You felt it, didn't you? That hollow ache in your chest when they walked away, the sting of their indifference when you needed them the most. They made promises they never intended to keep, swore they'd be there, only to vanish when the storm hit. And you stood there in the wreckage, wondering if you had been a fool to believe in them, if you had been too blind to see that they were never truly with you. But here's the truth you need to hear. They didn't leave you because you were weak. They left because they were never built to stand beside someone destined to rise. It hurt, of course it did. It burned like fire in your chest, like a blade between your ribs. You replayed the conversations, the moments, the signs you ignored. You questioned yourself. Was it you? Were you the problem? Did you push them away? But listen to me and listen well. They didn't leave because of your flaws. They left because they couldn't handle your potential. Because deep down they saw something in you that terrified them. Something they knew would outgrow them, overshadow them. They saw the fire in you before you even recognized it yourself. You were not meant to be kept small. You were not meant to be caged by their limitations, by their doubts, by their inability to see beyond their own fears. They walked away thinking they were leaving you behind, thinking you would break without them. But they never realized you weren't built to stay down. They mistook your silence for surrender, your suffering for defeat. But what they don't understand is that pain is not your enemy, it is your weapon. And every moment you spent in the dark, every tear you swallowed, every lonely night you endured, it was shaping you, forging you. Because now here you stand, on the very ground they tried to bury you under, and the road ahead, it belongs to you. They thought they were leaving you in ruins, but they were only clearing the way for you to rise. And now, you don't just walk that road, you own it. The dust they left you in, it's what you now kick up behind you as you move forward, unstoppable, untouchable. They left you in the dust, but now you own the road. Time is slipping through your fingers. Every second you hesitate, every moment you linger in the past, you are letting them win. The ones who doubted you, who left you in the dirt, who never believed you would make it, they are counting on you to stay stuck. They are betting on your silence, your hesitation, your fear. They expect you to stay exactly where they left you. But this is the moment that defines everything. Right now, you stand at a crossroads. Stay broken, trapped in the pain they inflicted, or rise stronger than ever before. This isn't just about proving them wrong. This isn't about vengeance, about showing up with a mask of strength while your wounds still bleed underneath. No, this is about something far greater. This is about you, about reclaiming what was always yours, your worth, your confidence, your destiny. Because if you keep waiting for an apology that will never come, if you keep hoping that one day they'll see your value and regret what they did, you are wasting the very life you were meant to build. The truth is, they aren't looking back. They aren't losing sleep over the nights you cried yourself into exhaustion. They aren't wondering if you're okay. And that should infuriate you. That should set something inside you on fire. Because if they can move on without a second thought, why are you still carrying their ghosts? This is where everything changes. Right here, right now. The pain they left you with, the wounds they carved into your soul, you can let them define you, or you can let them fuel you. You can either rot in the grave they tried to put you in, or you can claw your way out and own the road ahead. The choice is yours, but understand this, there is no middle ground. You don't get to half rise, to partially heal, to kind of move on. No, you either take control of your story or you let them write your ending for you. And if you don't act now, if you don't take this moment and run with it, the next time you look back, years will have passed. Years spent drowning in regret, wondering why you didn't fight harder, push further, demand more from yourself. And the worst part, it won't be them you'll hate for it. It will be you. Because deep down, you will know that you had the chance to rise and you let it slip away. So what's it going to be? Are you going to stay down, hoping one day they'll notice? One day they'll come back? One day you'll finally be enough for them? Or are you going to turn your back on the past and start running toward the future that's waiting for you? The road is yours. It always has been. But the question is, do you have the courage to take it? You've felt it. That deep, gnawing emptiness that comes when you realize you were never as important to them as they were to you. The way they drifted away so easily, like you were just another forgettable moment in their story. The way they turned their backs, not with anger, not with remorse, but with indifference, as if your presence, your pain, Your existence meant nothing at all. That's what hurts the most, doesn't it? Not the words they spoke, not even the way they walked away, but the way they never looked back. You replay the moments over and over. The conversations where their voices carried warmth, now turned cold. The promises that once felt unbreakable, now shattered. You tell yourself you should have seen it coming, that the signs were there all along, but hindsight is just another kind of torture. Because knowing the truth now doesn't erase the wounds they left behind. It doesn't take away the long, sleepless nights, the silent moments where the world moved on while you stood frozen in place, asking yourself why you weren't enough. And that's where the real battle begins, not with them, not with what they did, but with yourself. Because every whisper of self-doubt, every moment of hesitation, every time you tell yourself you'll never be good enough, that's not their voice anymore. That's yours. They left, but you stayed. And in their absence, you became your own worst enemy. That voice in your head, the one that tells you it was your fault, that if you had been better, stronger, more important, they would have stayed, that's the real villain. That is the enemy that will break you long before they ever could. Because betrayal cuts deep, but self-doubt is a slow poison. It's the kind of wound that doesn't bleed but infects. It lingers in the corners of your mind, waiting for a moment of weakness to remind you that you were never enough for them. And if you let it, it will convince you that you will never be enough for anyone. But let's be honest, this battle isn't just happening inside you. No, there are real villains out there. The ones who spoke your failures louder than your efforts. The ones who saw you struggle and didn't reach out. Who celebrated your downfall, who needed you to stay small so they could feel big. The ones who fed off your silence, your uncertainty, because your weakness was their reassurance. They convinced you that you were destined to fail because the thought of you rising terrified them. But here's the truth they don't want you to know. You were never the weak one. They were, because only cowards walk away when things get tough. Only cowards abandon those who believed in them. Only cowards are threatened by someone else's potential. So now, you have a choice. Keep fighting ghosts, letting their words control you, allowing their absence to define you, or turn your back on them the way they turned their backs on you. Because the road ahead, it isn't theirs to walk. It never was. This road belongs to you, but only if you are brave enough to take the first step. You saw them walk away. You heard their laughter fade into the distance. You stood there, frozen, wondering if you'd ever move again. The world moved on without you. The people you once held close, they never even glanced back. They kept walking, kept building, kept winning. And you stayed behind, trapped in the wreckage of what they left you with, forced to watch them flourish while you felt yourself slipping into the shadows. They found new paths, new opportunities, new lives where you no longer existed. The calls stopped, the messages dried up, and suddenly, the people who once swore they would never leave were nothing but ghosts haunting the corners of your memories. You watched them celebrate victories, achieve milestones, live out the futures they once claimed you'd be part of. You told yourself it didn't matter that you were happy for them, that you didn't need to be included, but late at night, when the world was silent, the truth hit you like a knife to the chest. They forgot you, and you don't even know when it happened. That's what being left behind does to you. It's not just the absence that hurts, it's the replacement. It's the realization that while you were still holding on to them, they were already moving forward without you. And the worst part? You couldn't even blame them. Because when you looked at yourself in the mirror, you didn't see someone worth holding on to. You saw failure. You saw someone stuck in the same place, drowning in self-doubt, unable to move forward. And if you weren't enough for yourself, how could you expect to be enough for anyone else? Failure has a way of breaking you in ways success never could. It doesn't just take your confidence, it steals your identity. You start questioning everything. Were you ever good enough? Were you ever important? Did you ever even matter? And as the questions spiral, as the doubts tighten their grip, you find yourself suffocating under the weight of everything you didn't become. Because that's the difference, isn't it? They succeeded, you didn't. They found a way to move forward. You stayed frozen, reliving every mistake, every missed opportunity, every time you let yourself believe in something that was never real, and it eats you alive. The thought that maybe they were right, maybe you weren't built for greatness, maybe you were never meant to win. So you sink deeper, you stop trying. You tell yourself it's too late, that the world has already moved on, that there's no place for you anymore. You scroll through their successes, their perfect lives, and you feel the ache in your chest grow sharper, deeper. You weren't just forgotten, you were erased. And now you wonder if you were ever supposed to be anything more than a footnote in their story. But here's the thing about feeling forgotten. It makes you dangerous. Because when there's no one left to believe in you, no one left to rely on, no one left to catch you when you fall, you are forced to make a decision. Stay here, stuck in the shadows of what could have been, or burn everything down and build yourself from the ashes. Because if the world has truly left you behind, if no one remembers who you were, then you are free to become whoever the hell you want to be. They told you that you weren't good enough, that you didn't have what it takes, that no matter how hard you tried, you would always fall short. They didn't just doubt you, they conditioned you to doubt yourself, whispered insecurities into your mind until their voices became your own. They planted the seeds of failure long before you ever had the chance to prove them wrong. And the worst part? You believed them. They convinced you that you were small, that your dreams were too big for someone like you, that people like you, people who stumble, people who struggle, people who don't have the right connections, the right background, the right talent, never make it. They smiled as they said it, disguising their poison as concern. I just don't want you to get your hopes up. Maybe you should think of something more realistic. And little by little, their words took root inside you. Doubt, hesitation, fear. They made you feel like your ambition was a flaw, like wanting more, striving for greatness, refusing to accept an ordinary life was some kind of delusion. And every time you tried to push past it, every time you dreamed a little bigger, they were right there, ready to pull you back down. Because people who have given up on themselves will always try to convince you to do the same. They told you that success wasn't for you. They told you you weren't worth striving for. You failed. They told you you were liable to duping yourself, that a doubt would never go away. They told you that success wasn't for you, that you weren't special, that you didn't have the talent, the intelligence, the right to chase something greater. But let's get something straight. They were never speaking the truth. They were speaking from their own fears, their own limitations, their own failures. And instead of confronting their own mediocrity, they tried to pass it on to you. Because deep down, they saw something in you. They saw potential. They saw a spark, a hunger, a fire that scared them. And rather than supporting you, rather than fueling your rise, they did the only thing weak people know how to do. They tried to kill the fire before it could become an inferno. But here's the truth they never wanted you to figure out. They lied. You are not a failure. You are not too weak, too slow, too broken to succeed. You are not doomed to live a life of regret, watching others take what was meant for you. No, the only thing that has ever stood in your way is the poison they planted inside you. And if you are strong enough to rip it out, if you are willing to rewrite the story they forced you to believe, then nothing, not them, not your past, not even your own fears, can stop you. Because you were never small, you were never weak, you were never meant to fade into the background. And now, the very people who tried to convince you otherwise, they're about to find out just how wrong they were. There comes a point where the fight drains out of you, where every step forward feels like an invitation to be knocked back down, where you stop looking for a way out because you've convinced yourself there isn't one. That's what despair does. It doesn't break you all at once. It wears you down piece by piece until you don't even recognize yourself anymore. At first, you tried, you fought, you held on to the idea that things would change, that the struggle was temporary, that one day the pain would make sense. But when setback after setback hit, when every effort led to disappointment, when the world continued to move forward, while you stayed stuck in place, you started to believe what they always said about you, that maybe they were right, maybe you were never meant to win. And so you stopped fighting, not all at once, not in some dramatic moment of surrender, but gradually, in ways you barely noticed. You stopped trying so hard, stopped hoping, stopped believing. You woke up and went through the motions, but the fire was gone. The voice inside you, the one that used to whisper, "Keep going," went silent. And in its place, the echoes of every doubt, every insult, every limitation that was ever placed on you. They broke you so well that you started finishing their sentences. You whispered their doubts as your own. You became your worst enemy. You told yourself the same things they used to say. "I'm not good enough. I'll never make it. I should just stop trying." You didn't need anyone else to push you down anymore. You did it for them. And that is the cruelest trick despair plays. It makes you think the cage is locked when all along, the key has been in your hands. You know what real pain is? It's not just losing. It's losing yourself. It's waking up one day and realizing you don't even know who you are anymore. That the person you used to be, the one who had dreams, who believed in something bigger, who refused to settle, is gone. And in their place, a hollow version of you, a ghost of what could have been. But let me tell you something about hitting rock bottom. It's not the end of the road. It's the start of a new one. Because if you have nothing left to lose, if everything has already been taken from you, then that means you are free. Free to rebuild, free to let go of the past, free to become something stronger than you ever imagined. But only if you decide that today, right now, is the last day you let the voices of doubt control you. The last day you accept the version of yourself that they created. The last day you let despair win. Because the truth is, you were never meant to stay in the dark. You were meant to rise. It's quiet now, isn't it? No fake friends, no empty promises, no voices telling you they'll always be there only to disappear when you needed them most. It's just you, alone in the dark, and for the first time you can hear the silence loud and clear. No distraction, no false hope, just the reality of where you are and what you've become. This is rock bottom. Not the kind of low point you bounce back from in a day, not a temporary setback that a few motivational words can fix. No, this is the kind of fall that shatters you, the kind that makes you question everything. Because when you hit the bottom, when the dust settles and you take a long, hard look at yourself, you realize just how far you've fallen. And that realization, it cuts deeper than any betrayal ever could. You weren't always like this. There was a time when you believed, when you had something to fight for, when you looked in the mirror and recognized the person staring back at you. But somewhere along the way, life chipped away at you, bit by bit, until there was nothing left but this hollow version of who you once were. And now, you don't even know if there's anything worth saving. It's not just about failure, it's about exhaustion, about trying so hard so many times only to end up right back where you started. It's about watching others move forward while you stay stuck in the same cycle, replaying the same pain, carrying the same burdens. It's about looking around and realizing there's no one left. Not because you pushed them away, but because they never really planned on staying. And now, you ask yourself the question that lingers in the back of your mind every night. What if this is it? What if you never make it out? What if this is as good as it gets? What if you were never meant for more? That's the thing about rock bottom. It makes you doubt your own existence. It makes you wonder if the world would even notice if you disappeared. If the people who once swore they cared would even stop to ask what happened to you. But let me tell you something. Rock bottom is an illusion. It only feels like the end because you've been looking at it the wrong way. The fall is real, the pain is real, but this is not where your story ends. No, this is where it truly begins. Because when you lose everything, when the world strips you down to nothing, when the people you thought would stay have vanished, you are left with the only thing that has ever been real, yourself. And that is your greatest weapon. Because now, with nothing left to lose, you are finally free. Free to stop chasing people who never valued you. Free to let go of the past that tried to break you. Free to rise, not because someone else believes in you, but because you refuse to stay in this darkness any longer. So ask yourself, is this where you end, or is this where you begin? Because if you have survived this much pain, if you are still breathing after everything they put you through, then maybe, just maybe, you are stronger than you ever realized. And maybe it's time to stop asking why this happened to you and start asking what you're going to do about it. No one is coming to save you. Let that sink in. No one is going to swoop in at the last second and pull you out of this darkness. No one is going to fix the mess you're in. No one is going to knock on your door with the answers, with an easy way out, with a miracle. It's just you now. You and the choice you have to make. You can stay down. You can let the weight of everything crush you. Let the pain convince you that this is all there is. You can keep replaying every failure, keep drowning in regret, keep telling yourself that maybe they were right about you after all. You can sit here, waiting for something to change, waiting for life to suddenly get better. But you and I both know that's not how this works. If waiting could fix things, you wouldn't be here. If hoping for a way out was enough, you would have escaped a long time ago. Or you can rise. Not because it's easy. Not because you have it all figured out. Not because someone else is offering you a lifeline. But because you are done being a victim of your own life. Done letting other people's opinions define you. Done living in the shadows of your past mistakes. Done sitting in the ruins of what could have been. You can rise because you refuse to be forgotten. Because you refuse to be just another story of wasted potential. This is the moment that will define you. Not when things were easy. Not when people believed in you. Not when success was within reach. No. This moment. The moment when you have nothing. No safety net. No certainty. No one in your corner. This is the moment where you decide whether you will disappear into the background like they expected, or whether you will stand up against every doubt, every setback, every reason to quit, and take back what was always meant to be yours. You have nothing left to lose. And that makes you dangerous, because the person who has lost everything has nothing to fear. The person who has hit rock bottom has nowhere left to fall. The person who has already walked through hell doesn't flinch at the fire. That's you now, and that is your greatest strength. So make the choice. Stay in the ashes or rise from them. Stay forgotten or become the one they never saw coming. Because the road ahead, it doesn't belong to the ones who never failed. It belongs to the ones who refuse to stay down. And if you can stand up now, in this moment, when everything is against you, then nothing and no one will ever be able to stop you again. At first, all you feel is the pain, the weight of everything that went wrong, the echoes of every betrayal, every failure, every time you let yourself believe only to be crushed again. It sits heavy in your chest, making it hard to breathe, pressing down like a reminder of everything you lost. But something is different this time. This time, the pain isn't just pain, it's something else. Something deeper, something dangerous. It starts as a flicker, a small shift inside you, a realization, one so simple, so obvious, that you don't know why you never saw it before. You are still here. After everything they did, after everything you suffered, after every reason you had to break, you are still standing. Maybe barely, maybe weak, maybe lost, but you're still here. And that means something. That means they didn't win. And then it happens. The flicker grows, it twists, transforms. The pain that once held you down begins to rise. It turns into something else, something hotter, stronger, something they never expected you to feel. Rage. Not the kind that destroys mindlessly, not the kind that lashes out at the world of desperation. No, this is something controlled, focused, a refusal to stay broken, a refusal to be anyone's victim ever again. This is where you stop being the person they tried to make you. This is where you stop carrying the labels they gave you, the limits they placed on you. This is where you stop waiting for permission to take your life back. This is where you start writing your own story. They counted on your silence. They counted on your doubt. They thought they broke you so completely that you'd never put yourself back together. But they forgot one thing. Pressure doesn't just crush, it creates diamonds. And now, all of that pain, all of that suffering, it's becoming something new inside you. It's becoming fuel. This is the first spark. The moment when you stop looking at yourself as broken and start seeing yourself as unfinished. The moment when you realize you were never weak, you were just unlit. And now, the fire is starting. Slowly but surely, the first crack in the darkness, the first ember of something unstoppable. So what happens next? Do you let this fire grow? Do you let it consume every doubt, every limitation, every voice that told you that you couldn't? Or do you smother it, let it die, tell yourself it's safer to stay small? Because this is the choice that will shape everything that comes after. And let me tell you something, once a fire starts, it's only a matter of time before it burns down everything that tried to contain it. Pain can break you, or it can build you. The choice is yours. Most people let pain destroy them. They let it sink into their bones, let it whisper in their ears, let it convince them that suffering is all they'll ever know. They become prisoners of their past, carrying their wounds like chains, dragging them through every step of their life. But not you, not anymore, because now you understand something most people never will. Pain is not your enemy. Pain is your weapon. Think about it. Every betrayal, every heartbreak, every failure, it was supposed to ruin you. It was supposed to keep you weak, to make you afraid to try again. But what if instead of running from it, you turned it into something unstoppable? What if every time you remembered their words, their doubts, their absence, you used it? Not to cry, not to shrink, not to fall back into the same cycle of self-doubt, but to fuel something greater. Because here's the truth. Anger is energy. Pain is power. Heartbreak is motivation. If you use it right, there is nothing more powerful than a person who has been through hell and refused to stay there. You take that betrayal and turn it into focus. You take that heartbreak and turn it into hunger. You take that failure and turn it into discipline. You stop letting your pain be a reason to stop and start using it as the very reason you keep going. Every time you feel it, every time it tries to pull you back into the darkness, you use it to push forward instead. You wake up earlier, you work harder, you train longer, you build yourself in silence while they watch from the sidelines, wondering why you're still standing when they swore you'd never rise again. You turn pain into progress, because one day they will look at you and realize they made a mistake. One day they will see what they lost when they walked away. One day they will recognize the monster they created when they tried to break you. So let it burn, let it drive you, let it shape you into the kind of person they never believed you could be. You don't escape pain by avoiding it. You escape it by becoming something stronger because of it. Close your eyes and picture it, your comeback. Not just a return, not just proving a point, but something far greater, a transformation. Because this isn't about going back to who you were before. That version of you, that person is gone. You are not here to rebuild what was broken. You are here to create something new, something stronger, something unrecognizable. They left you in the dust. They wrote you off. They buried you under their doubts and their betrayals. But what they don't know is that you are coming back, and not as the same person they walked away from. No. When they see you again, they won't just be surprised. They won't even recognize you. You will return, not as a shadow of your past, but as a force. More disciplined, more focused, more dangerous. Every weakness they once pointed out, gone. Every insecurity they used against you turned into power. Every wound, every scar, every ounce of pain, they will see it in your eyes, not as reminders of suffering, but as proof that you endured what would have destroyed them. So what does success look like for you? Not just in vague terms, not just better or stronger. Picture it. See it clearly in your mind. What does the highest version of yourself look like? What do they walk like, talk like, move like? How do they handle setbacks? How do they demand respect? How do they walk into a room and make everyone feel the shift in energy? Because that's the version of you that is waiting to be unleashed. That's the person you are becoming. Not just someone who made it through the storm, but someone who became the storm. So let them talk. Let them assume you're still the same. Let them be comfortable in their belief that you were never meant for more, because the day you return, they won't be ready for what's coming. This time, it's different. This time, you're not just dreaming, wishing, or hoping. This time, you're building, brick by brick, day by day. No shortcuts, no excuses. Because when you rise from the ashes, when you start from nothing, the only way to ensure that no one can ever take it from you again is to build yourself into something unbreakable. You've been through the fire. You've seen what happens when you put your trust in the wrong people, when you let yourself get comfortable, when you believe that things will just work out on their own. Never again. This time, your success will not be borrowed. It will not be given. It will not be dependent on anyone else's approval. It will be built with your own hands. Discipline is not something you wait to feel. It's something you force into existence. You wake up before the world. You push yourself past exhaustion. You master the art of showing up, even when no one is watching, even when motivation is gone, even when the results aren't visible yet. Especially then, because the ones who win in the end aren't the ones who had the easiest path. They are the ones who were willing to keep moving when no one believed in them. This is where you become the beast they fear. Not just someone with talent, not just someone with potential, but someone who refuses to stop, someone who builds in silence, someone who sharpens themselves into a weapon so sharp, so focused that by the time they see you coming, it's already too late. So you take each day as a step forward. You commit to the grind, not for recognition, not for validation, but because this is the foundation of the life they thought you'd never have, the life no one can take from you, the power no one can steal, the comeback that is yours and yours alone. Because this time when you rise, it won't be luck, it will be inevitable. Your mind is a battlefield. You either control it or it controls you. You've come this far, but the war isn't over. There's still one last enemy standing in your way. The voice inside your own head, the whisper that tells you you're not ready, the shadow of doubt that creeps in when things start going right, the fear that maybe, just maybe, they were right about you after all. This voice isn't loud. It doesn't scream. It doesn't need to. It's subtle, patient, deadly. It waits for the cracks in your confidence, for the exhaustion to set in, for that one setback to make you question everything. And the moment you hesitate, the moment you let it in, it spreads like poison, turning progress into uncertainty, replacing action with hesitation, convincing you that it's safer to retreat than to push forward. But you've played that game before, and it led you nowhere. So now you do something different. You fight back. You stop feeding the doubt. Stop listening to the stories it tells you. And every time it whispers, "You can't do this," you answer back, "Watch me." Every time it reminds you of your failures, you remind yourself that you survived them. Every time it tries to pull you down, you rise even harder, even stronger. Because self-doubt is a parasite. It only thrives if you allow it to. And now you starve it. You replace hesitation with action. You replace fear with movement. You replace every moment of uncertainty with relentless, undeniable proof that you are not who you used to be. The only way to silence the doubt is to drown it in progress. They can doubt you, the world can doubt you, but you do not doubt yourself, not anymore, because when the mind is strong, nothing can break you. They thought they buried you. They didn't know you were a seed. Most people run from hardship. They see struggle as a curse, as something unfair, as something meant to break them. But you are not most people. You have been through hell and back, and yet you are still standing. That means something. That means every failure, every betrayal, every moment of suffering was never meant to destroy you. It was meant to forge you. You don't fear hardship anymore. You don't beg for an easier road. You embrace the fire. You welcome the struggle. Because now you understand every challenge is an opportunity. Every setback is a test. Every moment of pain is a chance to become something greater than you were yesterday. You have learned what most never will. Comfort is the enemy of greatness. The easy road leads to nothing but mediocrity. The struggle, the pain, the obstacles, these are what sharpen you. Every time life knocks you down, every time the world tries to bury you, you don't see it as an end. You see it as growth. Because the deeper the roots, the stronger the tree. The greater the pressure, the more unbreakable you become. So let them doubt. Let them think they've won. They don't realize that every time they tried to bury you, they were only planting the foundation of something unstoppable. And now you rise. There's a shift that happens when you refuse to stay down. A moment where the struggle begins to pay off, where the pain starts turning into power, where everything you've fought for becomes undeniable. At first, no one notices. They still think you're the same. They don't see the late nights, the early mornings, the sacrifices, the relentless work. They don't hear the battles you've fought inside your own mind. They don't realize how different you've become. But then, the results start showing. You don't talk about your progress. You let it speak for itself. The ones who doubted you, the ones who left, the ones who never believed, they start watching in silence. Watching as you build something they swore you never could. Watching as you walk the road they thought you'd never reach. And the best part? You don't even care about their reaction anymore. You don't chase them. You don't seek validation. You're too busy becoming everything they never thought you could be. This is the moment where power shifts, where the people who once dismissed you are forced to acknowledge what they lost, where the whispers turn into stunned silence, where the same people who turned their backs are now forced to watch from a distance because they no longer have access to the person you've become. This isn't about proving them wrong anymore. This is about proving yourself right. And the more you rise, the more they realize they should have never counted you out. They see you now, and they don't know what to do because they are no longer relevant to your story. Their names don't belong in the chapters ahead. Their opinions no longer shape your reality. Their absence, which once crushed you, has become meaningless. You have outgrown them. And now, they must live with the truth that they lost you, not just as a person, but as a presence, as an energy, as an opportunity they will never get back. They thought you would always be there, that you would always wait, that you would always seek closure, explanation, some kind of validation. But now they see they were just a stepping stone in your journey. And the only thing more powerful than proving them wrong is proving you never needed them in the first place. They wrote you off. Now they have to rewrite their stories. They told themselves you wouldn't make it, that you were finished, that you were nothing without them. And for a while, maybe you believed it too. Maybe their words echoed in your head long after they were gone. Maybe you carried the weight of their doubt like a chain around your neck, but not anymore. Because now, the story has changed. You didn't break. You didn't disappear. You built. You sharpened yourself in the fire of their absence. You took the pain they left you with and turned it into something unstoppable. And now they are forced to face the reality they never saw coming. You are winning. But this isn't about revenge. This isn't about proving them wrong out of bitterness, out of anger, out of a need to make them feel the same pain they made you feel. No, this is bigger than them. Your success is your proof. Your evolution is your answer. You don't have to chase validation. You don't have to rub it in their faces. You don't have to say a word. Because every move you make, every level you reach, every victory you claim, it speaks louder than any words ever could. They will try to rewrite history. They will pretend they always believed in you, that they were there for you, that they supported you, that they never doubted what you were capable of. Let them lie to themselves. Because you and I both know the truth. They never saw this coming. And now, they have to live with the fact that when they walked away, they lost the chance to stand beside the person you've become. You don't need their approval. You are the storm now. Once upon a time, you craved their validation. You wanted them to see you, to acknowledge you, to tell you that you mattered. But those days are gone. You are no longer seeking permission to exist. You are no longer waiting to be chosen. You have become something beyond their understanding, an unstoppable force. They used to overlook you. Now, they can't escape you. They used to doubt you. Now they whisper about you. They used to think they could erase you. Now your presence is undeniable. This is what happens when you rise above the noise. When you stop explaining, stop justifying, stop waiting, you don't chase anymore. You don't look back. You don't waste energy trying to prove a point to those who will never understand your worth. Because now, your success speaks for itself. You've built something real, not for them, for you. You own your power. You control your destiny. You have become everything they swore you never could. And now the world will have no choice but to recognize what they once ignored. Because you are no longer in the background. You are the storm, and nothing, no one can stop you now. You don't look back. You don't slow down. You own the road now. There was a time when the past had a hold on you, when the memories, the pain, the betrayals followed you like shadows, whispering doubts, trying to drag you back into what you used to be. But now you understand. The past is not a chain, it's not a prison. It's fuel. It's proof of how far you've come, of what you've survived, of the strength you never knew you had. You have no reason to turn around. What's behind you no longer matters. The apologies that never came, the closure you never got, the validation you thought you needed, none of it defines you anymore. The only thing that matters now is what's ahead, the future that belongs to you, the road that is yours to walk, yours to conquer. And the best part, no one can take this from you. No one can rewrite what you've built. No one can erase the strength, the resilience, the fire that now lives inside you. You are free. Free from the weight of their words, free from the chains of your old self. Free from the idea that you needed anyone's approval to be great. So you keep moving, fast, relentless, unstoppable, because this time the road is yours, and you are no longer the person they left behind. You are the one leading the way. You should have been kinder. You should have stayed. Now you'll have to watch from the sidelines. You had your chance. You had a front row seat to something incredible, something unstoppable, something rare, and you walked away. You turned your back when I was at my lowest, when I was struggling, when I needed someone to believe in me. You left, thinking I would never rise again. You assumed I was finished. But here's the thing about people like me. I don't stay broken. I don't stay buried. I rebuild. I rise. I become something even stronger than before. And now, you no longer get a seat at my table. You no longer get access to the person I've become. You thought you could erase me, but I became unforgettable. You thought I would disappear, but I became impossible to ignore. You thought I would stay small, but now I stand taller than ever, while you can only watch from a distance. I don't need revenge. My success is enough. My growth is the proof that I never needed you. My strength is the reminder that I was never the weak one. You were, because only weak people abandon those who believe in them. Only weak people fear the rise of someone stronger. So now, you will watch. Watch as I achieve what you swore I never could. Watch as I build what you thought was impossible. Watch as I thrive without you, without your approval, without your presence, because this road was never meant for you. It was always mine. And the hardest part for you, knowing you could have been part of it, but now you never will be. No more waiting, no more excuses. The road is yours. Now take it. Everything you've been through has led to this moment. Every betrayal, every setback, every night you thought about giving up, it was all preparing you for this. You survived, you rebuilt, you rose. And now there is only one thing left to do. Take what is yours. No one is going to hand it to you. No one is going to clear the path, but that doesn't matter anymore, because you don't need easy. You don't need permission. You don't need anyone to tell you that you're ready. You've already proved it to yourself. The old you would have hesitated. The old you would have second-guessed, waited for the perfect moment, let fear and doubt hold them back. But the old you is gone. This version of you doesn't ask. You take. You move. You own. This is your moment. Right now. Not tomorrow, not someday, not when it feels convenient. Now. Because you are no longer someone who waits. You are someone who acts. You are someone who refuses to let another second slip away. So what are you going to do? Keep watching from the sidelines? Keep making excuses? Keep telling yourself you're not ready? Or are you going to claim the life that is waiting for you? The road ahead belongs to those who are bold enough to take it. And today you decide, are you one of them? They left you in the dust. Prove to yourself that was their biggest mistake. This isn't about proving them wrong anymore. It's about proving yourself right. They walked away. They counted you out. They assumed you would never recover, never rise, never become anything greater than what they left behind. And for a while, maybe you believed it too. But now you know better. So here's your challenge. Go all in. Stop hesitating. Stop waiting for the right time. Stop letting the past define you. You have already survived the worst. Now it's time to become the best version of yourself. Push harder, work relentlessly, make them regret underestimating you. Let your results be the loudest statement you ever make. Don't explain, don't seek closure, don't give them the satisfaction of seeing you struggle, just rise. Every time you feel tired, every time doubt creeps in, every time the past tries to pull you back, remember this moment. Remember why you started. Remember that the only thing standing between you and the life you were meant to live is your decision to take it. They thought you were finished. Now show them just how wrong they were. You own the road now, so drive. No more looking back. No more questioning if you're enough. No more waiting for someone to come and tell you that you deserve it. You've already earned it. The pain, the struggle, the nights of doubt, they were never meant to break you. They were meant to prepare you. And now you are ready. Everything they did to hold you down, it only made you stronger. Every setback, it only built you into something unshakable. Every person who left you in the dust, they only cleared the way for you to own the road ahead. This is your moment, your time, your path. No limits, no apologies, no regrets. You don't need to chase anymore. You don't need to seek approval. You are in control now. And the only thing left to do